The Panthers surpassed last year's win total, notching their third win of the season, 20-17 over the Giants in overtime in Munich, Germany. Julian Council from Locked On Panthers joins us from Allianz Arena. Julian, last week it was like 300 something days since we'd heard Sweet Caroline at Bank of America Stadium. Now it's going international. First, just tell me what the experience and the atmosphere was like in Carolina's first game in that country.
Man, what an awesome week it's been for me personally just to be here in Munich. But this game, just the energy. If you ever watch European soccer matches, you get to see this energy week in and week out in those matches. And to have that carried over to the NFL here in Germany, all of the Panther fans seeing Sweet Caroline when they played Country Roads. And we had seen the videos from a couple years ago here in Munich when the Patriots and I believe the Seahawks were here, not the Patriots, the Bucks and the Seahawks were here, and all the fans were singing that. Just the energy from the crowd. Clearly, the players fed off of that from both sides throughout the game. It was just an awesome experience for Carolina to get this opportunity and now be 2-0 when they've played overseas in Europe.
Well, I hope they come back and try to win one again here in Charlotte soon, a couple weeks against the Chiefs. That'll be tough. But, this just seemed like a game towards the end, Julian, where Giants fans are home sitting there thinking, we're going to blow this. Panthers fans are home sitting there thinking, we're going to blow this. But why is Carolina right now equipped to finish this? Whereas a couple weeks ago, we were talking about them, rightfully so, as the worst team in the NFL.
I think because they're healthier. I understand they were up 17-7 and the defense gave up 10 points there. That field goal at the end where Graham Gano was able to tie it after missing one earlier. And fans can look at that and think, well, see, same old Panthers defense, but it's not now. When you look at the secondary today, J.C. Horn, Mike Jackson, Dane Jackson were out there at corner. Jordan Fuller was back at safety with Xavier Woods. This is the first time all season long. All five of those guys have played together in the secondary. And I was talking to J.C. Horn after the game in the locker room just about those challenges that they've had. He's been pretty frank about them not being able to get stops. When he talked about having that chemistry now with those guys out there, it's hard to be a good defense when you don't have them. And to be able to have those guys look at Josie Jewell, the plays that he made in this game, Ashawn Robinson, Jadeveon Clowney, those are three names that were big acquisitions this offseason of free agency to come and play into Joe Avero's defense. And we looked at how they played at the end of last week. Punt, turnover on downs to win that game. They shut off New York in the first half. Yeah, they gave up those 10 points there in the fourth quarter. But overall, this is one of the better defensive performances we've seen from this team so far this season. And I think they're only going to get better if they can remain healthy in the final 7 weeks of the season.
Yeah, can they bring that pass rush back here through customs? Can they get that through? Because that would be great to have back. It just seemed like DJ Wanham's return got obviously like X's and O's wise, it helps, but it also just seemed to spark something in that front.
Yeah, having another guy opposite of Jadeveon Clowney who can get after the passer, he's already going to get that attention. He may not be a top-level pass rusher at this stage of his career, but DJ Wonnum, he's had some pretty good season the last couple of years. Had 8 sacks last year, 2 years prior to that, had 8 sacks in that season, and he was expected to be the first man to try to replace Brian Burns before he had all the health issues this offseason and was not able to play until today. And clearly, him on the outside with Jadeveon on the other side and having guys on the inside like Ashawn Robinson who can get after the passer a time or two, that's going to help this pass rush moving forward, that there are more options. And there is a pseudo-proven commodity in the league in DJ Wonnum on that other side who Carolina could possibly have for the next coming years as one of their top pass rushers. So that absolutely helped. Him being healthy, Fuller being healthy, just overall defensively, them getting healthier and having some experienced guys, that helped them win this game on Sunday where 3 takeaways, the most by far this season. They top up punching the ball out. Did that, had the great interception there by Josie Jewell, and it was certainly a controversial non-penalty call from my perspective sitting up here in the press box where I thought it could have been either a hip drop or a horse collar on Chuba Hubbard to make those stops when they needed them to. That's a big reason why they were able to win this game today.
Yeah, Chuba Hubbard, speaking of him, I mean, he doesn't seem to mind the exchange rate over there after signing that big deal. What did you think of his response? Because it was a response to getting that deal, people questioning it, and he goes for over 150.
Yeah, and I'm certainly someone who, out of principle, doesn't really believe in paying running backs, considering how you can find someone who you draft in the fourth round, like Chuba Hubbard, to have these kind of performances. And we saw what they were able to do a couple years ago when McCaffrey was traded away with Chuba and Deontay Foreman. But he stood up and continued to be the Chuba Hubbard that he's been so far this season, really throughout his career in Carolina, as far as a leader and someone who you want to keep around the organization, even if it's going to potentially cost $37 million after these 4 years at the very end of it. He was outstanding. And I thought sitting there in the first quarter, he was going to have 100 yards rushing. They got away from him in the second quarter, gave Miles Sanders some opportunities. He then went out and Chuba came right back in. He's been outstanding so far this season. It was the right decision when you just look at where the organization's at and the kind of guys they want to be able to build around and help implement this culture under Dave Canales and his new staff. Chuba Hubbard was great today, and I expect when him and Jonathan Brooks are back together week 12 against Kansas City that we may be seeing something reminiscent to smash and dash that we used to see here in Carolina.
Dave Canales not fully committing to Bryce Young for that Kansas City game. Still seems like he wants to take a week-to-week approach, at least after a game on Sunday. We'll see what he says on Monday, but he also used the word that he's proud of Bryce Young and that he's obviously made progress. What did you think of Bryce's performance on Sunday in Germany? Because he didn't light up the world, didn't get all the help in the world from his receivers at times, but what did you make of his third consecutive start?
Yeah, and Canales said that Bryce is certainly making a statement to all of us, not raise an eyebrow for me, wondering if he would indeed stick with him moving forward. I didn't think the pass game was great today. I think a big reason why New York was able to come back in that fourth quarter was the offense's inability to be able to go down the field and stay on the field. And I thought that third down, I believe it was 8 or 10 throw to Xavier Legette on that corner route was the best throw of the day that he had. He had another one earlier in that game on that 90-yard touchdown drive in the first half where he hit Legette on a dig route. Then he hit Jalen Coker as well. He made some nice throws. Just the offense didn't move the ball through the air as much as you would like, but he didn't turn the ball over. He made right decisions, didn't take any bad sacks. I thought overall he played a steady game. Now, is that enough for Dave Canales to want to continue to stay with him moving forward? We will see, because the pass game certainly has to be better than what it was today, but it was good enough for them to get this win on Sunday, and maybe it'll be good enough to see Bryce Young out there in 2 Sundays against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs.
Yeah, I'm not sure the statement's made officially, but he is making a statement right now. I'll let you go on this, Julian, as we try to figure out when we can parse Dave Canales' coaching decisions. This does seem like a game in which you can do it pretty evenly matched and obviously tight down the stretch. What did you think of some of those late game drives where first they didn't run it, then they were a little conservative, and they didn't really bleed much clock, and that basically had to get the Giants help into it?
Yeah, it didn't help either. Chuba Hubbard had that one drop. That was a throw that, again, was short of the sticks. And I know we talked about this last week. I didn't love some of the third down play calling a week ago. Didn't love some of it again today as far as not getting some routes down the field. But it was enough. And they certainly got to improve. And Dave's talking about how they want to continue to stack up good weeks. And anytime you win, it's a good week. Even though last week they gave up a ton of yards defensively, they were able to get some momentum from the end of that game and carry over to today. Offensively today, maybe the pass game wasn't the best. Maybe they weren't able to stay on the field at the end of the game and salt it away like they would like, but still they come away, they get the win that they needed. And that was a big third down throw to Legette that Bryce Young made. And had he not been able to convert, then the Giants have far more time on the clock, and maybe instead of talking about a Carolina Panthers overtime win, we're talking about the Giants coming back from 10 points down in the fourth quarter to beat Carolina today. So, yeah, they got to improve, but I think they have an opportunity moving forward to certainly do that.
Julian Council joining us from a proper football box there at Allianz Arena in Munich, enjoying a Panthers win, second straight and third this season. Julian, choose. We'll see you later.
Absolutely.